record. Okay, so press play. Hi, Mian. All right, so hi everyone. So I'm going to start proper now. So thank you all for coming today. So today I'm going to talk about the journey within. So it's actually a sharing about my own journey, as well as for all of you who are actually looking for more in life. So I thought it'd be useful to share some of my learnings and reflections along the way, so that maybe you won't make the same mistakes that I made, and maybe it'll give you some clues or hints into how you can carry out your own journey. So many of you sign up wanting to maybe gain some new perspective, some clarity, maybe some inspiration, and also some of you want to be enlightened. So I hope that maybe through this sharing, you can maybe gain some of this clarity as well. And there's also a group of you who came to support me, and I would like to thank you so much for that as well. Okay, so before I begin, I would like to encourage all of you to maybe take a pen and paper, and you have some writing materials ready in case you want to take any notes, because it's always useful to, when you have any new ideas, to write it down before you forget. Yeah, and it's also a way to allow us to focus and pay attention and be in the moment. Yeah, and then the next point I'd like to share is okay, this is you have to be very inquisitive, like a detective, be very curious, and to take note of all the different clues and different breadcrumbs along the way. So this is the same as if you're embarking on your journey within. This is the kind of attitude you need to have, is to be very curious and inquisitive, and then go with an open mind, because you do not know what you're going to discover. So whatever I share, you just take it in first, without judging, without trying to analyze whether it makes sense or not. And at the end of the day, you can decide whether this resonates with you or not. So this is how it should be. Just be an open mind and open heart. And most importantly is to have fun, because after all, it's a Wednesday evening, right? We have one whole day of work. It's quite tiring. So this is going to be a very light-hearted talk. I'm going to share some of the stories I have and things like that. So just relax and have fun. And so remembering all these principles that I just shared about pen and paper, detective, open mind, this is the kind of attitude you need to have if you are planning to embark on your own journey within. It's the same kind of principle. And what we are doing now, attending this talk, is a very good step forward, because you're actually dedicating time to yourself to actually look within and find out more. Yeah, so give yourself a pat on the back. So for those of you who do not know me, before that, at this point in time, I'd like to encourage all of you to just close down your eyes and just take 3 deep breaths in to present yourself. So breathe in, breathe out. So take this moment to come back to the present, to be right here, right now, and reconnect back to yourself, reconnect back to your hearts and your intention of why you're here today. What do you intend to get out of this session? And for those of you who said you're here to support me, it's really good. But at the same time, do try to think of something that you'd like to gain for yourself as well. So connect to that thought, that intention. It could just be a word, clarity, perspective, anything is good. By setting an intention, we open a space to allow us to actually learn new things. So we are keeping our mind open. So now breathing in, breathing out. And when you're ready, you can come back to the present moment. And those who are on the replay, do the same thing as well. Just pretend this is a live session and just be fully focused. All right, so welcome back and let's begin. So a little about me, who am I? Some of you may know of this event through maybe your friends. So I'll just give a little introduction of who I am. Okay, so I graduated with a double degree in business and social sciences. So you may find that, how come my degree is so random, business and social sciences? It feels like different ends of the spectrum. So the reason is actually because I'm actually more interested in human social sciences, psychology kind of thing. But at the same time, at the time, I didn't know whether I could get a job out of it. So I thought, to be safe, I'll just take business as well. So that's how I ended up with 2 degrees. So a bit kiasu, like a Singaporean. Yeah, then I'm also a certified life coach and a certified integrative nutrition health coach. So along the way, as I was trying to find answers of what I really want to do, so I picked up different certifications as well. And how I ended up as a supermodel international is also part of my journey, where I was I was given an opportunity to they were asking me whether I wanted to participate. And because I was really shy and I wanted to step off my comfort zone, I was like, okay, why not? Just try it out. And then I came in first runner out. So that's quite good, I guess. Yeah, so that's good news. So a little more about me. I love learning and growing. So I spent a lot of money on courses, like more than 20,000. I think even more than that, maybe 30 or 40,000 on courses, personal development courses itself. Yeah, so because I think that the only way to grow is like you have to invest in yourself. So I've been very generous in that area. So I also enjoy being in nature. Being in nature makes me really happy. And I love reading, writing, doodling, exploring, different kind of things like that. And I also enjoy yoga, swimming, walking. And I'm also a daughter, a sister, and a friend. So this is a little about me. But actually, beyond all these titles, who am I really? When we meet our friends or we meet someone new, we always introduce ourselves based on our job titles, based on what we like, what we dislike. But if I take away all the titles and all the things I shared earlier, who am I? So this question has actually sparked off many people on a quest, because this is a seemingly simple question, but yet it's so difficult to answer. So many people, maybe many sages or people have gone to the mountains to meditate, to find the answer to the question, who am I? And for myself, I remember the first time I sort of tried to ask this question when I was really young. I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I was looking in front of the mirror and I was just asking, I just kept repeating my own name in front of the mirror. I was like, Yuting, Yuting, Yuting. And I was trying to find out who is saying this name. Am I my body or am I my mind? And if my mind was like, if I'm like maybe brain dead, am I still Yuting? Or if my body is no longer there, am I still Yuting? So that question made me like very curious, and I couldn't figure out at that time, who exactly am I? But it was quite interesting and it sparked me off on a journey. And this quote has always inspired me, which is the unexamined life is not worth living. Yeah, because I do not want it to be that at the end of my life, I realized that, oh, actually, I lived a lie and I did not actually live the life that I wanted to live or was meant to live. So I was always very curious, tumbling down the rabbit hole to find any answers I can to make sure that I'm living a life that's true to myself. So today's sharing, my intention is to spark you to reconnect back to your inner self, and maybe for you to find out more of who you really are in a way. Yeah, so start this whole ball rolling, and so that's the intention. And I'll just share with you a little about the inner work process for some of you who may be very new to this whole journey itself. So you can think of it as right now, if you have never done any inner work before, we are like someone in a very dark room. And we may be very scared because we can't see anything. There's no clarity, there's no perspective. And we may keep knocking into things because we cannot see. We just keep knocking into this, knocking into that. And then it's very painful. So we start to feel that, oh my gosh, life is suffering. Everything is so painful. Life is uncomfortable. And over time, we start to numb ourselves because of the pain, or we start to dare not even move, because if we move, we may end up hurting ourselves. So that is the current situation if we do not do anything. But when we start to want to find out more, we start to introduce light into our life, we realize that, hey, actually, it's not so bad after all. Maybe it's because, I'm in a room where there's a lot of furniture all over the place. It's so messy. So I cannot see anything. I keep knocking into all the furniture. So, for example, this top is an example of a light. It's just telling you that, oh, actually, you don't have to keep knocking into things, but you can actually switch on the light. And when you switch on the light, you can see things with so much more clarity. But sometimes people may be in denial. They may say, oh, I do not want to switch on the light because they do not want to face what it is. Because if you switch on the light, you may realize that, oh, actually, I have to do a lot of cleaning up. I have to tidy up the furniture. I have to throw a lot of things aside. I have to let go of things. And this is something that I'm willing to do. So some people choose to remain in the dark, which is the first picture. And what to expect further down the road. So after you realize there's a lot of furniture, very messy in your room, everything, you can clean it up. And after cleaning up, you'll realize that, oh, actually, at the corner of the room, there's a little you, a little inner child that's like crying, that's shivering, that's really scared, that's like wanting some love, and has been neglected all the time when you are trying to strive in society, try to do this, do that, and we forget our little inner child. And all of us have that little inner child inside of us. And this is the us that is like ever innocent, ever pure, ever divine, that is just wanting our love. But a lot of times we choose to put it aside because we feel that, this inner child is sort of useless, it cannot survive in a world like this. We need to be tough. We cannot be very weak. Innocence is like innocence is associated with like naivety and is considered weak. So we do not find it aside. So this whole process is how do we reconcile back with the little part of us that is like wanting that love, and then how can we reclaim all the lost bits of ourselves along the way, such that we become whole again. So the whole journey is to find out who we truly are and become whole. So it's like finding out all the lost pieces of ourselves from everywhere throughout all time, the different trauma, different ages, the 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and then come back together to be a whole, complete person. Yeah, so it takes a lifetime of work, but yeah, that is an overview of what to expect. So right now we are just at the first stage, which is this one. So now we are next stage, which is turning on the lights. So it will be a journey, but this is what you can expect. So you may say, so where do I start? Okay, so it sounds exciting, right? Being able to become whole again and reunite with our inner child sounds very exciting. So where do I start? Well, the journey is a journey of 1,000 miles, begin with a single step. You start by taking the next foot forward. Yeah, so before I share with you how you start, I'll probably share with you a little of how I started, okay, my own journey. So hopefully it'll give you some inspiration on how you can get started on yours as well. So my journey started with a 10-day meditation retreat. So like all of you, maybe for those of people who want to go on a journey with you, maybe the first thing that comes to mind is probably meditation, right? Because like, how do I look inward? Okay, I think I must meditate more. I must meditate more. So that's the mindset I have as well. So okay, if I want to look inward, let me do some meditation. So at that time, I didn't really have any meditation experience, but I thought if I want to like really go all in, I'll just sign up for a 10-day retreat and try it out. So if meditation is so good, probably a 10 days one would be really good, and I may gain enlightenment after that. So I signed up for it, and so it's a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat. What it consists of is no talking, no eye contact, no gestures, no electronic devices, no reading, no writing, no dinner. Waking up at 4 a.m. and sleeping at 9:30 p.m. every day, and it's like 10 hours of meditation. Yeah, so it's really not easy, but I thought, okay, if 10 days can allow me to gain enlightenment, I'm willing to do it. So I was very diligent. I just followed it every step away, waking up at 4 a.m., meditating all the way until 9:30 p.m. And this is me at that time after I first ended the first retreat. Yeah, so me looking very radiant and me wearing an Oxford University shirt, but I'm not from Oxford, I just wear it to feel smart. Yeah, but after this whole thing, I didn't get my answers. Initially, I thought after 10 days, not talking, at the last moment when they say I can talk, I'll be happy, aha, enlightened, But then there was no such thing. I was like a little disappointed. But then I learned other things. I understood more about reality, the nature of reality. I realized that ultimately we are just atoms. We appear solid, but we're actually not solid, and everything is impermanent. And I learned the concept of non-attachment and also experiential learning. So that's a very important lesson. So a lot of times people may say like, oh, things are impermanent, like everything will change, is only constant. But we may get it intellectually, but experientially, we don't get it. But after going through 10 days of like, sitting in silence, I actually felt how is it like that things change. So it could be that I'm having pain on my leg and I do not move. And then if I do not move long enough, the pain actually disappears. So yeah, so it's an experiential learning of how change is the only constant. Yeah, so I learned to experience and enjoy life moment by moment. Okay, so I didn't get answers, right? So I thought, okay, why not let me try something else? And I asked myself, what do I want to be? And I thought, okay, at the time I didn't know what I want to be. So I asked myself, okay, I want to be able to help people, and I want the flexibility of time, right? So what came to mind? Life coach. I thought life coach is a really good idea because I get to help people and I get to help to do it in my own timing. So I thought, okay, I want to be a life coach. So I went to sign up for a certification for life coaching. And that was another interesting journey where I looked within and I realized that, wow, I didn't know that who we are today is actually shaped by the traumas that we have when we were like 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. So that was something I didn't know. I thought that, if I'm gone at like, if something happened to me at 5 years old, probably right now, I would not remember it. I'm okay, I'm past it. But actually when I look back and I dug deep enough, I realized that, actually, these memories are still stuck in my system and I still remember everything. So it was quite scary, but quite interesting as well. So actually, all of us, we have the inner child, as I said earlier. So yeah, so it's like, how can we do this inner work such that we reconcile back to our inner child? And then I experienced, how going into my, going down to face my own shadows, my dark side. And then the journey of life is to become more of who we really are. So this whole experience and journey of life coaching, it was really eye-opening, and it made me realize that I do not know a lot of things. So it was a very humbling one. And it also caused me to realize that, okay, I need to be more open to learning, and I started to take even more programs from here onwards. So, but then I still didn't have all the clarity. I was still a little lost, So I thought, okay, maybe I need more discipline, maybe all this coaching, clearing internally and getting back with my inner child, and meditating is not enough. So I thought, okay, maybe I need to train my mind to be like a warrior, So I decided, okay, maybe I'll just go for a Kung Fu retreat. Physical training may be good for me. Maybe that's what I need. So I signed up for a 2-week retreat in Chiang Mai, and I had a lot of physical training, waking up at 5 a.m. every day to do Qigong. It was really nice experience, and I met people from all walks of life, people who have a different kind of view. They can quit their job and then just do Kung Fu full time. So it was quite an eye-opening experience. And I also learned about relaxing, and then being in a state of flow and allowing. That's where things happen. I do not have to keep fighting so hard. Sometimes people who are relaxed, and they actually win instead. Yeah. It was a very fun experience, but still I didn't get my answers. I have been going down different paths, trying to go on different rabbit hole, trying the physical kind of wellness, trying the mental, emotional, didn't get anything. I mean, I got different things, but then it wasn't the clarity that I needed. So I decided maybe because my internal system is too dirty, so I'll go for a detox retreat. So I went for a juice fast next. So I went for a 7-day juice fast where I just drank juice every day to cleanse the system. Because I heard that if you clean out your system, you get a clarity, your face will become very radiant, and then you get a clarity of mind. So, and a lot of energy. So I thought, okay, why not? Let me do that instead. So I went to this very, very beautiful place in Koh Samui with very good reviews. And I went to drink juice every day. And this is my kind of daily schedule, It's kind of tough, eating oxygen, magnesium powder, eating psyllium bentonite shake, Q detox chlorophyll, things like that, a lot of random things. But I just did it because I thought, okay, if this is going to give me the kind of answers I need, then why not? Okay, so did I get my answer? At this point, I would like to encourage all of you to take a pause and ask yourself, after hearing my journey so far and what I have shared, how are you guys feeling? Is there something that excites you? Is there something that you feel like, hey, I also want to try? Oh, is there something that did my sharing spark off any new ideas in you? So take some time to jot down in your paper and on your paper, what lights up your heart. These are hints to actually allow you to know what actually you enjoy doing. Because sometimes as we get carried away with daily life, we may not know what exactly lights up our heart. So all these little things, for example, my sharing could give you a little hint of what you could be interested in. So all this, you have to write it down immediately. You have to capture it. You have to be very, very attentive and very alert, because every clue, every breadcrumb could lead to your next breakthrough. Yeah. So take some time, maybe a few moments, to jot down some notes for yourself. So you see, I've gone for a many random journey. Right? What is yours? What is the kind of journey you want to go for? Is there something you always want to try but haven't tried yet? Yeah. So write down what lights up your heart. Okay, so keep this question going. Always ask yourself this anytime you have new ideas, you can add it on. Okay, but this is just opening a space for you to consider. And I'll continue with my story now. So at this point, it's been about 7 years since I started my journey. So it's been quite some time, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of adventures, met a lot of very interesting people, but the clarity is still not totally there, right? I was always on the lookout for what brings me more joy, more energy, more clarity, and that was what kept me going. But then on December 2019, I suddenly had a nervous breakdown. and everything just came crashing down. So it's like I was thinking, I've done so much, so much purification, so much detoxification, so much meditation kind of thing. I should be like floating on the clouds already, right? Like ding, surrounded by butterflies. But in the end, I was more like the second picture where I'm like thinking, oh my God, I'm not crazy. I thought I was gonna die. It's quite bad. And I was quite shocked and very disheartened. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been so sincere on my quest for my journey within. I've done so many things, and yet things like this happen where I end up getting like feeling like I was going to die, and like it feels like I'm not making any progress at all. So it's very disheartening, and it really forced me to stop everything, the endless chase. So I was very disheartened, like what to do. During that time, I felt so weak. I can't even get out of my bed, and I felt so helpless. I tried to use all the different things I had learned, like meditation or yoga or all the essential oil things, but it didn't really work. I still felt really, really weak. And I didn't really like the feeling. I didn't like the feeling of being out of control. But the breakdown actually led to my breakthrough. It suddenly dawned upon me that all the while I was chasing something, no matter how zen and how good it sounds, I was still chasing something. I wanted more clarity. I wanted more energy. I wanted something. I was chasing for something which I thought I didn't have. I wanted to find out how to live life, how I can enjoy life more, not realizing that actually every moment, life was passing me by. So I was so focused on achieving the next high. Every time I go for a retreat, I'll get a high for me 1 week, and then it will be back to normal. I was always focusing on getting to the next thing that I didn't really enjoy the present. I didn't really just be with myself and just allow myself to be. So when I had that breakdown and I couldn't do anything at all, I was forced to just do nothing. And initially I was like trying to find ways to feel better so that I can continue doing something. But then I realized that, actually I can just surrender to it. And when I surrender and allow myself to do nothing, I realized that actually there's nothing to do. There's nothing to really achieve. And I'm all I ever needed. I was who I was looking for. And the answers has been in front of me all along. And yeah, there was nowhere to go, nothing to do, nowhere to be. I was just here. And I was just like life. I was just here to be life, to enjoy life, instead of going for an endless chase. So it was quite an interesting realization. It caused me to like let go and made me realize that, enough of all this striving. And maybe you can also relate it back to maybe striving up, climbing a career ladder, thinking that, okay, once I reach a certain position, I may feel a certain way. Once I get this certain kind of goal, I will feel a certain way. But maybe it's not that. It's not just about hustling. Like the society has glorified this whole hustle culture, but is hustling really what we really need? Or is actually the letting go? Is not the putting on more and more stuff, but what can we remove? How can we unload from ourselves instead of adding on more and more? So at that time, I didn't realize that my chase for enlightenment, my chase for knowing more is similar to trying to climb a career ladder. It's like, yeah, it didn't get me anywhere in the end. And it really forced me to realize that, okay, to be at peace with myself, that I'm all I ever need, and it's okay to be me. And I also realized that the reason why I've been running so hard, trying to gain so many things, achieve clarity, achieve energy, was because I felt uncomfortable just being by myself, being alone, doing nothing. Because by being that, I start to feel the void inside me, the inner void, the dark space, that sense of unworthiness, the sense of feeling that maybe I'm not so good after all, maybe I'm useless. I didn't want to admit that. I didn't want to feel that I'm nothing. So I kept striving for more and more to try to cover this void, the insecurity inside of myself. And so I realized that it's about being with myself, being with my heart, and then about self-love. at the end of the day, can I accept and love myself exactly as I am? And so what I learned from this experience, the first one is that the journey is a never-ending one. We always think of a journey as like a start point and an end point, like a straight line, right? Then we just go, when we reach the end point, job done, enlightened, we don't need to do anything anymore. But that's not the case. The journey, I realized, is actually a spiral. It's a spiral of consciousness, and this spiral is up to infinity. There's always different layers to it. And we are always on a journey. Even till the day we die, we are still on that journey. And then it's like peeling an onion layer by layer and layer by layer. And why I say it's an evolution of consciousness is that maybe over time you may face the same problem, but slowly you realize that, I'm reacting to it differently. So this is a very useful framework to keep in mind as you go on your journey, to allow yourself to manage your own expectations, to know that, okay, there's no end point, but the journey is the way, you are the way, you are walking the way, and that is it, yeah. But it's a very fulfilling one. So the second thing is what I realized is there's no shortcuts. So in the past, I think that, okay, I'll just go for 10 days and I will gain some enlightenment, or I can spend maybe $5,000 on a course. And then like through this course, I will gain all the answers, a shortcut. But I realized, no, there's no such thing. We still have to do the work, the daily walk, and we have to chop wood, carry water. There's no such thing as overnight success. So if some teacher tell you that, you can gain enlightenment really fast if you follow me, don't believe that. We have to follow our own hearts and learn from ourselves. And one more thing is, don't believe, we have to know. So what does it mean is that whatever I share with you today, or whatever you read from books or any teacher share with you, is just a concept, it's just knowledge. It's not something that you know for yourself. It's only when you try it out for yourself, then it becomes a knowing, it becomes a wisdom, and it becomes yours. So don't take anything for granted just because everyone says that it's correct, just because everyone is doing it, you actually do it as well, and you believe that it's true. We have to do our own research, we have to do practice our own discernment, and actually experience for ourselves to decide what is really true for ourselves. So this is really important because this world is filled with illusions and distractions that are trying to distract us from the truth of who we really are. So this is important to remember, to always try out. Yeah. And then at the same time, do know that it's okay not to know. We don't need to know everything about the world. Don't know the whole secrets of the universe. We just need to know what we need to know right now. So this is a process of surrendering, because we can not absolutely know everything, because this whole cosmos is so big, that we need to be okay not knowing sometimes. And you realize that when you're okay not knowing, it gives us a sense of peace within as well. Yeah. So next is called bypassing doesn't work. So a lot of us, we may lie to ourselves in a way that we may not be really happy, but we may tell ourselves that we are happy. Can y'all be, do y'all manage to see me, just see the screen just now? Because the Zoom just told me that y'all just managed to see the screen. How do I see the chat? Can okay, that's good. Okay, sorry, just wanted to make sure. Okay, because I thought that y'all cannot see anything. Okay, sorry, go back. Yeah, so like for me, I used to have the happy mask. I always tell myself, oh, I'm happy. But maybe a part of me may not be. But I thought that, okay, since if the objective in life is to be happy, then I'll just tell myself I'm happy and it's done. I don't need to do all the work to make myself really happy. I'll just convince myself, psycho myself to be happy. But the problem with that is that one day life will catch up with us and then we'll just come crashing down. So we have to really be honest with ourselves and not try to ignore or suppress our true emotions. Yes. And then one more is this thing called kintsugi. So we are afraid of breaking down. We are afraid of having our cracks showing. We're afraid of going down to the darkness. But we need to realize that when we are broken, that's where light can get in. Just like the Japanese concept of this pottery, where they actually piece broken pieces together with gold to make a very beautiful bowl. And this way, every piece is very unique. So this is who we are as well. We need to allow ourselves to break down such that we can form back into our beautiful bowl, because the deeper we are able to go, the more the darker and more negative emotions we are able to feel within, the more light can be allowed to get in as well. So it's very important to remember this concept and not be afraid of negative emotions. Yeah, so that's what I learned. Instead of always being positive, I learned to also allow negative emotions to show. And last thing is to surrender and trust the process. So I learned that ultimately at the end of the day, we do not know everything, and sometimes you just have to surrender and go with the flow. Yes. So this is some of the learnings I have along the way. So do take some notes as well, so that along your way you can remember all these points as well. So where do I start? So for you, so back to the question, I've shared my journey. So for yourself, how can you start? How to get started on a journey? You have to realize and remember that you're like a caterpillar undergoing metamorphosis into a butterfly. So all of us, when we are born, we are like caterpillar, and no matter what, through this whole evolution, and if you're really serious and committed about doing your work, you'll come to a stage where it's a dark stage, where you have to face your deepest, darkest fears, your darkest shadows and things like that, before you can emerge a butterfly. So this is what we have to keep in mind. And so we start where we are. So like what you wrote earlier in your reflection on what lights up your heart, you can just start there. Try that, because trying that, you may meet someone new, you may gain more realizations about yourself, and this may also be very useful about how like allow you to know yourself better. And one thing I learned is also to listen to your heart. So a lot of times we are so trained to operate by our minds. Like we try to think logically, does it make sense? Does it make, is it an efficient thing to do? Is it productive and things like that? But our mind can only get us so far. We have to listen up to our hearts, because our hearts know where we are meant to go. Our hearts know our true destiny, what's our purpose on earth, and our hearts will lead us home. So sometimes it takes courage to listen to our hearts, because it may not make sense. That heart may tell us, okay, this is the right way, but maybe the mind may say this way. So which way do we follow? So it takes a lot of courage. So going on this path takes a lot of courage, a lot of willingness to say, keep going, and then not giving excuses, and being open-hearted and having faith and commitment, because along the way, you'll be faced with setbacks and you'll have your heart broken so many times. Because if you're going to listen to your heart, then there will be times that people may break your heart. If you trust people may break your heart. But are you willing to stand up again and again and again to what you really want commit to do, to actually focus on finding out more about yourself and connect back to who you really are inside. So these are some of the qualities you need to take on. So it's like a warrior heart. You really have to become like a warrior, fighting through all the illusions, all the darkness, to find towards the light, to find out who you really are. And as Steve Jobs say, stay hungry, stay foolish. On this journey, we cannot let our ego get in the way. We have to always be okay to be foolish, to ask questions, to be inquisitive, to be hungry, learn from everyone, and try to find any hints that could get us closer to the truth and the clarity that we seek. And all this is really important, because life catches up on us. If we do not work on this right now, when everything is going quite okay in our lives, one day things may happen in our lives that we cannot prevent, and it may force us to wake up and do something about it. But maybe by then it may be harder, because things are all very unstable. So like it's better to repair our roof when it is sunny than when it starts to rain and you try to repair our roof, right? So yeah, when everything is going well right now, I'll encourage you to start on your journey within. Yeah, so right now, I'll pose you another question. What is an act of love or courage you can do for yourself? Yeah, so after hearing so much of my sharing so far, what is something that you can do for yourself today, or maybe tomorrow or this week? Because this will make you take you one step closer to the truth of who you really are. It will take you one step closer to your heart. And every day is the daily walk towards your heart, and becoming closer and closer to finding out and reconnecting with yourself. So take a moment to write down something like that. Yeah, it could be walking in nature. It could be dancing to your favorite music. It could be going for volunteering work. It could be going biking, diving, reconnecting with a friend that you have lost contact with, but it's a really good friend, or something you have always wanted to do, maybe organize a talk to share on your expertise, something like that. Yeah, take some time to write down at least one act of courage you can do for yourself after listening to this talk. Because, you know, listening to all I've shared is one thing, but taking action, that's the most important thing. Without taking action, we are still back at square one. So getting inspired is one thing. So please write down something that you can do for yourself. So I give you some inspiration on the right side, some doodles. Like treat yourself to happy food also can. Do some coloring, yeah. Like connecting to your inner child is one thing as well. Don't just take a day out and play with your inner child. Go to places you have never gone to, but you like to do as a child, or eat food you like to eat when you're a child. Okay, so I'll leave you to think about it, and I'll continue to move on right now. Okay, so here's a word of caution. As you start on this adventure, there'll be things that come up. It's like you start to feel like, maybe you say, okay, I want to go on a biking trip, but then you start to have like negative emotions, like, oh, what will my family see? Can I really do it or not? Then you start to have, is it safe or not? So all these negative emotions will kind of come into play. Or there could be anxiety, there could be resistances, there could be fear, different things. And know that this is normal. It is normal because what these emotions show is that we're actually at the edge of our comfort zone. And we just have to push a little more, and we are out of a comfort zone. And when we are out of a comfort zone, we're actually more expanded as a person. So what to do if you have negative emotions? We don't push it aside, we don't suppress it. But what we do is that we just be with the emotion and just honor it, notice it, be with it, allow it to feel it in your body, because you know that it's impermanent anyway, it will just disappear sooner or later. But give it as much time as you need, and then do it anyway. Do whatever you wanted to do anyway. So don't let your negative emotions stop you. Don't let your negative emotions stop you out of doing what you wanted to do. And the next thing is distractions. You know, this world where we are living right now is so filled with distractions. Distraction from social media, distractions from like everyone is trying to get a piece of us, a piece of our attention. So it takes a lot of commitment to focus on what we really want, to focus on carving out time for ourselves, me time for ourselves, such that we are able to, you know, dig deep within to find what we really want to do, or find the answers within, because only us ourselves can allow us to give ourselves what we really need. So like, see, this picture is like stepping out of comfort zone. And if we manage to step out of our comfort zone, we realize that we can be anything we want. We'll become like Superman, you know, I am possible. Impossible becomes I am possible. Yeah. So it's like you feel a sense of freedom. Yeah. So it's very, very worthy and very, very, it's a worthwhile journey to take. So in conclusion, the journey of self-realization is a journey of, you know, you becoming more empowered. As you go on this journey within, you start to realize, you become more and more empowered, and you start to reclaim more and more of your life. You're no longer a victim to your circumstances. You learn to take responsibility for your life and start to feel that, oh, life is actually quite fun. I get to create whatever I want to create. I get to design life the way I want to design it. And you start to see through the illusions as well, the illusions that has been placed upon us by society. And life becomes a breeze, because like when we know ourselves, what others say of us, or when people give us like start to criticize us or project their own insecurities on us, we don't get affected as much anymore, because it'll just bounce off, because we know ourselves. So life becomes a breeze, and then you experience freedom within. We realize that you don't have to please anyone, you don't have to seek for any approval or validation to feel good. And we don't have to try to strive for anything. No, we are just happy and being where we are, just feel free being ourselves, doing nothing in the room. Also very happy. Yeah, so it's quite a good thing. And you start to see beauty in everything as well. I realize, oh wow, the world is such a beautiful place. There's so many different things. Like we start to like nature itself is filled with so many birds, so many insects, so many creatures, so many animals that it's so unique by itself. And when we start to notice all these things, it makes our life really like fulfilling and very fun as well. And you also gain the energy, the peace and clarity. So all the while, it's quite ironic because all the while I was like trying to go to all the different workshops, different programs to find peace, energy, clarity. But when I just let go of everything and just say, forget it, I'll just be with myself and everything, then the energy, peace and clarity just came to me. So all these things, and one other thing is that you start to look more radiant and younger. So girls is very good. All this inner work, you get SK2 effect. That's what the coaches like to say last time. You start to be younger, feel younger, and yeah, so it's a worthwhile cause to start on this work. And so all these are actually side effects. You get all the benefits you get from having the courage to start on this heroic human journey. Yeah, to find out more about yourself and reconcile with who you really are. And I love this quote by Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi is my childhood hero. So him and Mother Teresa, I feel that they are really very noble people. And what he says is that be the change you wish to see in the world. And I find that it's so true. And especially in today's society that we see so many atrocities, a lot of things happening, so much suffering going on, people having no food, animals getting abused, and climate, earth getting destroyed by the greed of organizations and things like that. Sometimes I feel very helpless. It's easy to feel helpless and feel like, okay, I can't do anything about it because these are happening on a world level. What can I do? And all this suffering is so painful. But we realize that the only way we can effect change in the world is to start by ourselves. So actually all this work of realizing ourselves, all this inner work, it's not just a selfish thing. It's not just for ourselves. It's actually for the world, for our children, for our children's children. We have to be the change we want to see, and we have to start by ourselves, by first lighting up our own hearts and remembering who we truly are. So that is one of the huge motivation to start on this journey as well. So I'll end off with this question. So who are you really? So right now it's time for you to find out. Okay, Q&A. Yeah, so the journey itself is there's no right answer or wrong answer. So my journey is my journey, but each of us, we have our own journey to uncover. Whatever I've shared earlier is just it's just like pointing to the thing, but it is not the thing itself. Yeah, so I can only show you the way, or like say my own journey, but each of us have to walk our own way to get to our own realization. And through the journey, we become who we are meant to be and who the person that we are really, really happy with. Yeah. Okay, so Q&A, let me see. How do I see whether there's questions? Yes, ripple effect. Okay. Okay, so right now, you guys can type the question into the chat box if you have any questions for me. And I'll answer one, let me see, one question. I mean, there's some questions that some people have placed in the form. So one of the questions they have is, what do you hope to achieve within the next few years? Okay, so right now, I've learned to just relax and not have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. In the past, I would have something like that. But right now, it is more of allowing things to unfold and see what, along the way, what comes out. Because sometimes we do not know what kind of opportunities will appear. But I do have a vision board that I created, which is this one. So I created it maybe like last year or something like that. And so this vision board show things that inspires me, that things I want to do for maybe the foreseeable future. So this keeps me going. Oh, thank you, Ying Bao. Yeah, so for example, like swimming with dolphins, having a piglet as a pet, like eating healthy food, working in some, like being a digital nomad and working in nature, living in a place that is isolated in the mountains, like having a simple life, things like that. So, and sometimes I'll encourage all of you to also create your own vision board. So all you have to do is to just think of things that inspire you, and then Google the image and paste it all into the Word document, and that's how you get a vision board. Okay. Okay, Ruby asked the question. What self-development books do you recommend? Oh, okay, that's a good question. So I love to read as well. So I've read many different books. And I guess the books that is relevant would depend on where you are in the journey right now. So recently, the book that I read, which I found was quite good and quite relevant, is called The Way of Integrity. The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck. So this book talks about how is it like to live a life of integrity. And it's interesting because she broke down the book in different phases, such that it's like a hero's journey. And through different part of the journey, we get to uncover more about the whole process. So it's a very good book. And it talks a lot about the principles as well. So especially for all of you here looking to start on the journey within, you can check out this book. And even for those people who are already on the journey for quite some time, you can also read this book, The Way of Integrity. Okay, Ying Bao asks, is there any best vision board exercise? Some say a physical vision board, some say one can make a digital vision board in a tablet. One looks at it daily in the morning and before bedtime. Okay, I guess there isn't really a best vision board. I've tried both before, physical and digital. Well, I would say that digital is more convenient in the sense that you can just Google and just paste in a Word document, and then you can make it into a screensaver. So that's what I do. So my iPad screensaver is actually my vision board. But having said that, it depends on which one to look at more. If you have a very cozy space at home and a space on your wall that you can paste a vision board that you can look at every day, then yeah, you can do that as well. And if you enjoy the physically creating stuff, this could be a very fun exercise for you. So whether physical or digital, it also works. Most important thing is that every time you see it, it inspires you to keep going. It inspires you to continue your vision, because subconsciously you're already priming your mind that, okay, these are the things that I want to manifest in my life, and putting it down and seeing it every day is the first step. So I hope that answers your question. You're welcome, Ying Bao. You're welcome, Ruby. Okay, do any of you have any more questions? Oh, Davide asked the question. When this journey seems to go nowhere, how do you keep yourself motivated and carry on? Okay, let me try to stop sharing this one so I can see all of your view. Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, Davide. Okay, so when this journey seems to go nowhere, how do I keep myself motivated? Okay, so this is a really good question. And sometimes I tend to also lose track of I tend to get distracted by life itself and start to be busy working, that I forgot about my own journey. So usually it's very important to have people on the same path. If you have a community of people, have friends who are doing that, that's really helpful, because you have each other to remind each other on that. And also having a clarity, which is, why are you doing what you are doing? You need to connect to that. Instead of doing it because, okay, I want like peace. If it's something bigger, like, okay, I want to be the change I want to see in the world. Okay, when the mission is big enough, is scary enough, is like inspiring enough, it'll keep us going. But if it's something small, then it's easy to just, okay, I mean, if it's just I want peace, then okay, I get peace already, then I don't need to do anything anymore. So it's about really having a clarity of what do you really want. and reminding ourselves that is what will keep us going. Yeah. So for me, my bigger plan is to see, okay, how can I inspire more people? How can I light up more hearts? How can I encourage more people to fulfill their fullest potential? Because I see how the world is right now. It's in quite a I feel that there's a lot of suffering going on around, and I feel really sad, and I feel that each of us have a part to play to do something. Yeah. Thank you, David, for that question. Okay, so 2 questions by Ray. Any life goals you want to achieve but not yet? Life goals. Life goals, eventually I want to be able to work like a digital nomad, be full-time life coach, and like support people, coach them, and then earn income out of it, enough income to sustain myself. Yeah. And then live somewhere in the mountains when I do that. So it's like own self-sustaining farm, plant your own vegetable, grow your own food kind of thing, and then like having some animals as pets. Yeah, so that's my life goal. Okay, broad tech engineering. How did you convince your parents, loved ones when you decided to embark on this sabbatical? Good question. Yeah, sometimes it's really tough, especially when you are like deviating from what society says and deviating from the norm. So like going on a sabbatical is deviating from the norm. And I also chose to like maybe stay out, like rent a room out from my parents. And that's also deviating from the norm. So that's really tough. So for sabbatical wise, I think what they saw was that because remember in December 2019, I had a really huge nervous breakdown where I was so weak and I couldn't move. I think my parents got quite worried. So when I told them I needed some time to regain my mental health, my emotional health, and say that I need to spend some time for myself, because I didn't want to, because at that time I thought, what if I had died at that time? I would have so much regrets, right? That I didn't live the life I want to live. I was always living for someone else. When I'm studying, I'm like trying to get good grades. When I'm working, I'm trying to meet the KPIs. So there wasn't a space where I can just be me. So when I told my parents I needed to, needed to recover and like recuperate and everything, they were very supportive. Thankfully, they were very supportive, and they said okay. Yeah. So I guess what helped was also that I took a year no pay leave instead of just quitting my job. So my parents were more assured that, okay, at least I have a job to go back to. So it may be better to just take a no pay leave instead of quitting directly. Yeah, so that's my experience for sabbatical. Yay, thanks, Tianghua. Do any of you have more questions? Let me see if there's any more questions here. Welcome. Yeah, welcome, Broad Tech Engineering. Okay, Aaron asked, which was your most memorable retreat, and what was the most valuable lesson you got out of there? Most memorable retreat. I guess it was the meditation one, because I went for it. It was because I enjoyed the peace. I didn't have to talk to anyone. I could just be with myself, and it was really peaceful. And I went for it. I think total of 4 times, 3 times to meditate, and 1 time to volunteer. And what was the most valuable lesson I got out of it was that everything is impermanent, and we are not what we see. Everything, we are just atoms that arises and passes away. And ultimately, we learn through experience. We don't just believe whatever we hear. Yeah. What would you say is the main difference between meditating versus journaling? Both are good. Depends on what's your intention. So meditating and journaling both actually brings you back to the present moment and reconnect back to your heart. But meditating, I feel that it's more like presencing yourself and just being there. and feeling the environment, becoming more mindful. While journaling is writing. Journaling is a very good practice actually. So for me, for a period of time, I did free flow journaling. So like writing 3 pages a day, just write. Whatever comes to my consciousness, I just write it down. And sometimes you get really very useful inspiration out of it. So for all of you who are trying to maybe look for ways to know yourself better or to connect within, journaling can be a good way to start because you can get many new ideas or inspiration and that you never thought possible. Yeah. Any personal tips in coping the mental stress from this pandemic? I think, yeah, this is a very, very real issue, especially during this COVID pandemic period. How I cope with it is that we have to realize that mental, emotional, physical is all linked. It's all part of the health. Health is not just physical health, but mental health and emotional health. So we have to be very, very conscious about the energies that we let into our system. So we need to be very conscious of the food that we take, what kind of media we watch, the music we listen to, the things we read, the people we hang out with. So be very, very protective of your energy, because if you keep exposing yourself to negative news, to low consciousness lowering vibrations, it's very easy for you to go into that whole mental stress and feel stressed and anxious. So for me, I try not to read any news. Yeah, I just live my own bubble, but I'm aware of what's going on, but I do not want to be sucked every day into it. Like I wouldn't be like, okay, today how many people got COVID? Or next day, how many people got COVID? It becomes very stressful. I start to become very anxious. Like, oh my gosh, every cough I have, oh my God, is it COVID kind of thing? So it's very, very not very healthy for the mind. So I try to protect my mind by listening to uplifting stuff, reading uplifting stuff, hanging out with uplifting people, surrounding myself with positive energy, surrounding my environment with positive energy. So that's how I maintain a healthy mental state throughout this period of time. Yeah. Thanks, Xing Yun. Welcome, Yingbao. Okay, I think we are close to time. Do anyone have any last questions before we end the session? Thanks, Aaron. I'm glad you enjoyed my doodling. My inner child enjoyed the doodling. She was like, it was quite fun. Yeah, welcome, Ray. So thanks, Aileen. So I think I hope that this session was useful and it helped you to gain more insights into your own journey within. Thanks, Juby. Thanks, Sarah. Do something about it. Don't just listen and then forget about it. Do some reflections. Maybe pick up a new habit. It could be meditation. It could be doing some journaling. It could be doing your act of love or act of courage, and do something that lights up your heart. So it takes you one step forward on your journey. Yeah, welcome, Lilian. Thank you. Thanks, Susing. Susing is my teacher in the past, teaching me how to doodle. Thanks, Rostam. Thanks, Jia Ying. How will you keep up this journey for yourself when you get back to work and life? Yeah, this is a daily journey, so I do not know yet. So I will just go with the flow, and I will constantly remind myself to set time aside. At least now I have a daily routine, daily habit. I will have a morning practice. I will have some journaling. I will have things to bring me back and keep me grounded. So that right now, so it's important to always remember to have anchor, So having a vision board, for example, is a good anchor for us to remind ourselves that, okay, what is my bigger goal, other than just rushing around 9 to 5 job, going back, then being very busy with other stuff, then not having time for ourselves. We need to realize that, okay, this time for ourselves is so important as well. Yeah. Thanks, Gwen. Thanks, Wei Chen. Thanks, Yingbao. Thanks, Yonghua. Thanks, Kelvin. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Dini. Thank you all for coming for this session. Yeah, I hope it was really insightful for you. Bye-bye. Okay, so that's all for I have, and I'll be sending out a feedback form so you guys can fill it in and let me know if there are any other topics you're interested to talk about, and maybe if there's enough demand, I may do another sharing. Okay, so thank you. Bye bye. See y'all.